most importantly, assuring patients and their respective support services are the center of care so that the definition of quality of life is the forefront of her clinical work, her work in education, and that with other social workers, physicians, and healthcare professionals. Please join me in using your emojis to offer her a warm welcome for this presentation. Tara, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is fun to see the emojis popping up. It's awesome to see all of your faces. It's so good to be here. It has felt more pleasurable than I expected being virtual. I know we had to do it, and we're all going to benefit from the virtual meeting, but I am getting some of those warm feelings that I get in-person conferences, and it's really been awesome to see. So thank you. All right, let's get started, and I will share my screen. All right, so once again, thank you, ACS, AOSW, for this awesome honor. I'm so grateful to ACS for the decades, for the services they've provided my patients and me in direct practice. They've always supported me as a doctoral student and as a researcher. It's really difficult for me to imagine a time in my career where both AOSW and ACS were not there supporting me and my patients and improving the quality of life. And I do have federal and foundation funding. I just want to highlight that really quickly, and they're listed here. So one day I got a very formal voicemail from Dr. Linda Matthew, our president-elect, and I nervously called her back, feeling like I was being called to the principal's office because I had been bugging the board a lot lately. So I was worried about that. But she was only happily giving me the honor of this award. And I was in the midst of working with an AOSW team of writers on the 40th anniversary paper to honor this milestone for our organization and to follow up on the first paper that was published in 2009. And you can see it here. And this and all of the papers that I mentioned in this talk are referenced at the end so that you'll be able to easily locate them. I am going to be sharing the slides. But this paper details the first 25 years of AOSW history from the perspective of each of the past presidents from 1984 through 2009. And we hope that our paper that we're working on now will be out by December. The new paper details the past 15 years from 2010 through today. And I decided to try in this time that I have to bring some highlights from the paper and those 15 years to life with you here, because this is, after all, the Quality of Life lecture. And AOSW's very history is about improving quality of life for those affected by cancer. This talk is also known as the How to Win a Free 2025 conference registration. So please have your phone ready to scan your QR code so you can participate using Slido in this session with me. I will be awarding a 2025 conference registration to the person who is most engaged with responses during this session. They don't have to be right answers, just be engaged and participate in the questions. And I will use only Slido to judge engagement, not Zoom chat. You can absolutely use it, and I'm going to be encouraging you to do so, but I just want to have one source of data to make my decision, so I'll be using Slido. And that prize is being funded by myself and this team of awesome co-authors on the paper, plus one other person whom I'm going to tell you about in a bit. So about this AOSW 40th anniversary paper, our current president, Michael Grignon, put out a call to fellows for volunteer authors for the 40th anniversary paper, and this is who responded. And I'm going to highlight, mostly in pictures, what our team is writing about, with one or two fun things that won't actually go into the paper thrown in here. So these are the objectives for the day. We want to explore the evolution of AOSW over the past 15 years, including its impact on shaping the standards of practice and elevating the role and visibility of oncology social workers in cancer care. And we want to review the key contributions of AOSW and its members to improving the quality of life for individuals affected by cancer. And for these first two, I would like to send my sincerest thanks to every single AOSW member who ever contributed to our AOSW newsletters, known by many names through the years, whether you were an author, a member of the editorial board, or the communications committees. The work that you put into those publications and the social media accounts contributed to my ability to bring this talk together and inform the 40th anniversary paper that we're working on. I mined for data all the way back to pubs going to this one in the winter of 2009 with a note from Les Gallo-Silver, then president, highlighting the Savannah Conference. Incidentally, even though this talk covers 2010 to now, I have to give a shout out to my first AOSW president when I joined in 1997, who was Susan Headland, who's been a longtime friend. She gave the quality of life lecture that year, and it was a review of the first 25 years of AOSW history. So it's really fitting that now I get to do one following in her footsteps, because she's been a leader and a mentor for me all these years. Susan, I wonder if you still have those slides. It'd be fun to have you share them. So this AOSW history is oncology social work history. It's your history. And I'm hoping that you will accept my invitation to reflect on your own role as an oncology social worker as we go through this history and think of ways you can use these values to set new goals for yourself and for the care that you provide your patients and families. I hope you have fun going through this history with me. One of the things the history paper will not do that I hope to bring out a little is how much fun it is to be a part of AOSW history. The history paper will highlight amazing things done by amazing oncology social workers, but it will not highlight the joy of the work or the deep and meaningful friendships that are nurtured along the way, or the impacts that we have on each other. And I can't start without honoring some of our major losses our community faced. They include the death of two past presidents, Deborah Dozier Hall, whom I never had the honor of meeting, but heard she was a beautiful soul and a brilliant oncology social worker. And if you knew her, share a memory about her in the Zoom chat, because I hope to be able to see all these after the fact, and I'd love to know myself. And the other was Kim Lawson, whom I did meet when I thought, and whom I thought was an amazing leader in our organization. It was her husband, Al Lawson, who, with the help of many friends in and out of AOSW, helped fund an annual conference scholarship for doctoral students in her honor. Again, if you knew her, share a memory about her in the Zoom chat. So now, some of our history, at least through my lens. Two important learnings emerged from the COVID-19 pandemic that continue to serve as monumental reminders of the import and value of oncology social work. First, as many prior conflicts and disasters in the U.S. have demonstrated, marginalized populations bear a disproportionate burden of natural and social consequences. This was very starkly and sadly summarized by Oprah Winfrey, who produced a documentary called The Color of Care, highlighting those disparities in COVID care, which I use in all of my courses that I teach at the University of Louisville, and it can be streamed by multiple providers, and it's well worth your time to watch. Some of the data highlighted in that documentary are listed here. As of February 2022, African Americans were 2.5 times more likely than white non-Hispanic Americans to be hospitalized for contracting COVID-19, and Native American and Hispanic Americans were 3.2 times and 2.4 times more likely, respectively. Also, according to the National Center for Health Statistics in 2020, COVID-19 reduced life expectancy by 3 years for Black and Hispanic people, while white people saw a 1.2-year drop in their life expectancy. Second, the disruptions in daily living during COVID elevated the notion of an essential worker, the people who must be permitted and supported to carry out their endeavors. Healthcare providers throughout the pandemic were essential and arguably continue to be so in communities across the country. Through networking, education, advocacy, and research, oncology social workers and the Association of Oncology Social Work have demonstrated always the essential nature of oncology social work. Even before it was ever named as such, we quietly contributed to the achievement of healthcare's quintuple aim: improved patient outcomes, cost containment, population health, reductions in care provider burnout, and reductions in disparities and achievement of equity. So back to the mission. I'll take us through our history in the past 15 years through the lens of each of these values, noticing that resource development really happens in all of these areas. So if you know me, you know that I like interactive talks, and this is where your opportunity to earn that conference scholarship comes in. Please use your camera app or your QR code reader on your phone to scan the QR code on the next slide, or you can engage going to slido.com on your phone as well and entering that number. That will be visible on every single slide for you. But to win, you must change your status from anonymous to your full name by clicking on that little person up there, so that I know who you are, because if it's a bunch of anonymous, I'm not going to know who wins the scholarship. So make sure you include your name. So here's a practice run. What year did you join AOSW? I was 1997, so I'm looking to see if anybody starts to approach those years. I see 87, impressive. Lots of new. 2024 is a big one. 2022, this is great. We're all over the place. Welcome to all the new people, by the way. Good. So it looks like 85. That might be 80. Yeah, that might be the oldest one. Few people have me beat. Back when Pluto was still a planet. 1978. Wow. Haven't yet, first timer. Well, you're still welcome to join. This is awesome to read. Thank you all. So I'm going to leave each question open for about a minute, and then move on so that I don't take you guys into the middle of the afternoon with all these questions. So you'll want to jump on and participate as quickly as you can every time a question pops up. So here we go. We are going to move on. So thank you for that. So you've likely heard me say this before. I've put it out there a few times, but these values are a guide to excellence in cancer care. And we as an organization and as individual members must build our expertise in all of them. We must accept responsibility for all of them to do that. We must decide that they are equally important and that we each have responsibility for the success and development of all of them. This involves leaders stepping out of the traditional silos created by their elected positions and into the shared, connected, and collaborative spaces. It involves the same for members who begin to step outside of our comfort zones and to look for ways to grow and learn in areas that we've not yet considered. Real excellence in psychosocial care happens where these values overlap. And this can be true for our organization as well as our members. So another opportunity here. In which of these AOSW values do you feel most confident? Some of you may recognize these questions because I asked them last year. Again, remembering that resource development really falls in all of them. Most confidence so far is in education, followed by advocacy. Sticking. Very cool. All right, I am going to go ahead and move on. Thank you for that. Which of these values would you like to further develop? These are looking very close, similar to last year's results. Awesome. So research, followed by networking so far. I'll give it a few more seconds. All right. So this was last year's poll at the closing keynote session. You can see here which of those values you wanted to develop versus which you felt most confident. And I just want to call attention. Last year, research was majority of people wanted to develop more confidence in research as well as advocacy. This time, I think networking fell second after research. So just interesting to notice the differences, and also interesting to see, that they're all still equally important. So hold on to those hopes and your thoughts for your own professional growth as we go through each of these values in more detail. And as I take you through them, reflect for a little bit on a professional goal related to each one, because I will be planning to ask you about them. So now as we go along, please know that there's no way I could cover all of it in the time that I have. So if there's something that's missed, it's not intentional. And please know that I'm trying to highlight some of our history here. There's more detail that will happen in the paper. And you'll have an opportunity at the end. I'll share my email address. And so if there's anything you see along the way that you feel like was majorly missed, you can absolutely reach out and email me, and I'll share it with the authors for us to consider. But the very creation and foundation of AOSW has its roots in networking with the collaboration among practicing oncology social workers and the American Cancer Society with their human values conferences way back when. When the organization first formed in 1984, again with the support of ACS, networking was the first task in the initial steering committee, and it remains the first core value in our mission statement aimed at advancing excellence in psychosocial care. The explosion of social media in the past 15 years inspired AOSW communications teams to lead the creation and management of multiple social media accounts and the creation of conference hashtagging, where a treasure trove of our history and values will live for years to come. And I will be weaving some of my own stories in here, as well as AOSW's history, and as it's my history too. And a lot of this comes through the lens of my experiences. So I've listed on my CV what I have about AOSW here, and it's not comprehensive. I've forgotten a lot of things, but I do wish to highlight one item that brings me joy to this day. Note that little item about social networking task force. I had been bugging AOSW way back in 2009 to create social media pages. Remember when Facebook first formed, they had things called cause pages? And I was hounding AOSW to create a cause page because I felt like they were going to get $1 million in donations if they created it. And I was just convinced that that was going to change the face of the organization. While it has, we didn't quite get $1 million. But understandably, back then, national organizations were a little hesitant to jump on the social media bandwagon. So I went ahead and created an oncology social workers Facebook page, and people started joining. Then Education Director Leora Lowenthal called me one day as I was driving into the Sam's parking lot, and I remember thinking that God had called me. I didn't know her very well, but she was and still is kind of a rock star to me, and she represented the board. And being a New Yorker who lived in a closet, she first commented on how lucky I was to be able to shop at Sam's and buy in bulk, which made me laugh and calm me down over having to talk to a member of the board. But then she proceeded to inform me that the board had noticed that I had created the Facebook page called Oncology Social Workers, and they wanted to invite me to join the social media task force to help AOSW get social. Incidentally, Leora is the immediate past president, and she's the other donor for the conference scholarship, whom I mentioned earlier. So thank you, Lilo. So she joined, you can see there on February 24th, 2009. She actually had screenshots of all this, which is why I'm including it in the talk, because it was really fun to see some of this history. And she was convinced that I could help. And so this group specifically still exists to this day. It's moderated only by AOSW leaders. And we pretty much brag on AOSW stuff pretty regularly. But it's been an interesting little side project of AOSW members for years, always trying to use it to bring new faces in. So now I'd like to take you on a quick tour through some of Leora's AOSW social media posts. 2009. Leora Lowenthal is enamored with little people pixels in the AOSW cause page. Only 11 more members, and we go from being a family to a posse. Thinks that 101 people now supporting the AOSW cause page and the $75 raised. Whoop, whoop, told you we'd raise money. OSWs might have a chance at world domination after all. Let's have a group hug. Thinks her friend Tara might be recruiting strangers off the street to support AOSW. Tara is a suspiciously successful recruiter. Those of you who know me on the leaderboards in Hoover from the early days understand that this is a trait that I've had for many years. Tara has recruited 50 people to AOSW, 50 out of 191, for real. Thanks, T. And finally, The AOSW cause page has 199 supporters. We need 51 more to be a crew, and then Catherine Creeder, soon to be AOSW Communication Director and Social Networking Goddess, is going to knit us all matching jackets. Way cool. Please check our page, join our supporters, and make Catherine's day. So back to social media and conference hashtagging. New question for you in Slido. Where and when, year or location, do you think the first AOSW conference hashtag happened? Now, you don't have to be right. Again, just throw an answer in there and make a guess. This is fun. Lots of good guesses in there. Lots of good memories. (2008), Savannah, that was, yeah, Louisville. Yeah, those are like older. Yeah. Ooh, 1999. Fun. Oh, these are fun. So most people, it looks like, think it's either 2010, 11, or 12. Very cool to see. All right, I am going to go ahead and go to the next slide, giving the last people a chance to hit enter. All right, thank you. So here's a hint. It happened under the aforementioned social networking goddess, Catherine Creeder, and when she continued under, and it was continued under Patrice Al-Shadi when she took over as director in 2013. They and the others pictured here were the true social networking task force. We just got it created, brought some people around, but then this team really made it all happen. You'll get to the answer soon, though. So one of the strategic goals from the 2022 strategic plan is collaboration and integration. AOSW will cultivate internal collaborations and external strategic partnerships to elevate oncology social work and quality cancer care. This section will highlight our efforts in that way. After a 2016 survey revealed that over 90% of our members identified as white, AOSW embarked on a mission to foster a community that truly represents all individuals affected by cancer. By recognizing the lack of diversity in the demographic makeup of our membership and how that impacts patient care, AOSW committed to work together to create internal change, ultimately aimed at improved cancer outcomes for all. Acknowledging the imperative for diversity and inclusion within oncology social work to align with the increasingly diverse patient demographics, the years that followed led to the creation of the D&I Membership Subcommittee, chaired by Susan Hedlund, Marcia Clark, and Jennifer Dunn. They crafted our diversity and inclusion statement, and in 2020, the board appointed its first director of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our past president, Eukarya Borden. And in 2021, the position of director for DEI was added to the nomination slate, and the membership elected a new director, Dr. Lelia Noel. In 2022, the board voted to add the director of DEI to the executive committee, and this was a particularly important presidential priority for Leora. All efforts honored the DEI statement, which unequivocally asserts that every member is valued and welcomed. The DEI director and committee remained focused on a series of comprehensive long-term objectives aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion across all facets of the organization. So much so that a recent edition of AOSW Connections, our quarterly newsletter, the whole newsletter was devoted to that. And while there's more work to do, these efforts, there are signs that these efforts are having success. Recently pulled membership data revealed that AOSW's BIPOC and AAPI membership went from 10% of our membership in 2016 to 20% in 2024. And these numbers do include those who identify as Hispanic. So there's signs of growth, and that's really, really exciting and promising. Established in 1995, the original networking resource for AOSW was SWAN. It's the oldest branch of the AOSW communications team, and it stands as a moderated international online community, formerly an email discussion group. So moving into these communities was another recent event in the last 15 years. And it's designed to enrich communication, facilitate resource sharing, and foster professional growth among our members. And the SIGs are an integral part of our organization, and they offer members with specific interests and needs a community to discuss and explore and exchange ideas and cultivate opportunities for further professional development. New SIGs reflect the need for groups dedicated to working with these specific populations and reflect the changing landscape of our society, culture, and clinical focus. And the ones in bold and starred here are the ones that have formed since 2010. Other internal networking efforts include the state reps. The board supports an active agenda aimed at helping members in the same states connect and share local resources, as well as updates about AOSW resources and opportunities. And this has resulted in many local meetings, continuing education opportunities, and conferences. The state reps have been an excellent source of AOSW's leadership pipeline over the years, with many AOSW presidents having started out as representing their state. And the highlight of my AOSW presidency was the creation of the AOSW Fellows, with networking and reconnecting with our past leaders in mind, as well as celebrating the growing number of national leaders in our field. The awards committee created policies and procedures for the newly created honorific, which recognizes and honors individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the science and practice of psychosocial oncology and to AOSW. The board voted to approve the inaugural cohort of fellows consisting of all past presidents, and they were honored in 2018 at the conference in Atlanta. So congrats also to our new cohort of fellows that joined us this year. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing to be a part of. So now moving on to external collaborations as part of networking. The past 15 years have offered AOSW numerous opportunities to collaborate with organizations that share our mission to improve quality of life of those affected by cancer. These efforts have resulted in the growth of our field and an increase in awareness and contributions of OSWs to cancer care. This list is not comprehensive, it's just a highlight of some of them. The ACS has, of course, been there with us since the very beginning with the sponsorship of our very creation and many, many awards through the years. One highlight that has helped change the face of cancer care and helped elevate the recognition of oncology social workers as essential comes from the work of these two goats in our field, past President Jenny Vitonis and Susan Headland. Just look at the amazing list of things that these two women helped accomplish during their time representing AOSW on this board of the Commission of Cancer, the American College of Surgeons. And you can see the time they spent there. And Susan's in her 10th year. Another highlight is from the Association of Cancer Care Centers, is that they elected their first oncology social work presidents to this 34,000 plus interprofessional member organization representing 1,700 cancer programs nationwide. Jenny Vitonis was elected in 2014, and Krista Nelson, another GOAT in our organization, was elected in 2020. We OSWs have benefited greatly from these leaders and their efforts to elevate awareness of psychosocial needs of cancer patients and OSWs in general. And you can again see these are just some of the outcomes, and we'll go into more detail about them in the paper. In fact, if you want a little more detail, you can go to Krista's poster today at 4:30, and you can download it in the app about the delivery, the ACCC's call to action on delivery of psychosocial care and oncology in the summit. So many have asked for AOSW representation on their boards, and we have always tried to say yes. We have also partnered with many other national organizations on grant-funded projects. And when the paper comes out toward the end of this year, you'll be able to see some of the detailed and specific results of these collaborations. Do you remember when we gave Joe Biden the Quality of Life Award for his work in cancer? Of course, we thought he'd come speak at our conference. Mind you, he was about to announce his 2020 presidential run, so he may have been a little distracted. But he sent the delightful Lisa Sims Booth, whom we all loved and crowned honorary oncology social worker, to speak on his behalf about the Biden Cancer Initiative. What we didn't realize was how much Lisa and BCI by extension would love us back. This resulted in a series of invites to large events like the Biden Cancer Summit, where we were able to represent oncology social work among top cancer leaders. And Krista Nelson also attended this cancer summit as well. And Jill Biden actually quoted her in her talk about the importance of meeting patients' basic needs, which was really cool. We also received invites to smaller regional roundtables and coffee chats between Dr. Jill Biden and frontline cancer professionals. Here are just two of such events. Leora and Krista were super lucky. The rest of us were all very jealous. Again, I have this in the networking section because this is a little small thing like deciding to award a former VP an award from our organization. Really elevated the oncology social work in general. So new question for you. Is there a National Academies of Science and Engineering and Medicine report supporting the need for more social workers in healthcare? NASM, by the way, is formerly known as IOM. If you were saying yes, or you have no idea, which is totally fine. All right, looks like we are close to, got a few still making a guess on this. All right, so we are going to move on. Good guesses. So the answer is yes. Here's one of the key report briefs highlighting social workers. We are specialists in providing social care who have a long history of working within healthcare delivery with in-depth training and credentialing, with expertise in family and patient engagement, assessment, care planning, behavioral health, systems navigation. Social workers identify and address multiple factors that contribute to the health and well-being. It's called Integrating Social Care into the Delivery of Healthcare, and it's available on the NASM website as a free download. Now remember, these NASM reports, formerly IOM reports, inform policy, research, practice, and they are useful tools that every social worker should have in their toolbox. They really are a big deal. So it's really cool to go find it, download it, and use it in your practice. And what most people don't know is that AOSW, with the generous financial support of Dr. Julie Octay, then research director, helped us join these national organizations in sponsoring this 2019 report. So along with these orgs, which is really cool to see AOSW listed there first among all of these organizations, almost all of the US schools of social work also co-sponsored this report. So it's a really cool and a big deal and definitely something you want to check out. So dedication to education has been a bedrock of AOSW organizational mission, benefiting members and our partners for years. And for the past 15 years, educational opportunities have expanded to meet the needs of membership in the ever-changing healthcare landscape. Again, with just a few education efforts are going to be highlighted here. I'm going to focus on annual conferences. They are the pinnacle of our educational content, and they've contributed so much to all of our professional growth. Multiple modalities, in person and online through the years, and lots of good CEUs. So I'd like to have you answer this question. What year and location was your first AOSW conference? And while you're answering, I'm going to explain, I'd like to take you on this quick journey through the conferences of the past 15 years and highlight the ACS quality of life speaker for each one. And as I go through them, if you were at the conference, especially if you were at the talk and you can remember something about it or about the conference, share a memory in the Zoom chat to make this more meaningful and interesting for you guys. I really look forward to reading those after the fact. For example, maybe you met your AOSW BFFs at one of the conferences. I certainly did. And I think Kathy and Smo are the only marriage out of the AOSW conference. But if maybe you met the love of your life, or maybe it's happened already at this conference. So share that if you're willing in the chat. So let's see. I'm seeing all kinds of years popping through here. 1997, that was, let's see, that was my first conference, La Jolla. Very cool. Lots of good things, good years, good conferences. Awesome. 1984, Terry, very cool. Yeah, lots of good ones. All right, I'm gonna keep going, but if you've typed it in and hit enter, it'll probably still still save it for me, even if it doesn't show up on here. So in Phoenix, in 2010, Shirley Otis Green gave her rousing call to excellence in her ACS Quality of Life Award lecture. She brought us to our feet, sharing her enthusiasm for the power for change that social workers can hold. And I can still remember feeling like I had been to church. I feel that way every time I go to her talks, but I certainly felt it then. And I was very, very inspired. In 2011, we met in St. Louis, where Vicki Kennedy, the ACS Quality of Life Award winner, challenged us to evolve our practices and seek innovative ways to provide quality care in the face of a changing environment. Vicki referenced a perfect storm of both challenges and opportunities for oncology social workers. And I remember being truly moved by a story that she shared about a past patient who had written her a letter years after they had worked together, sharing how much Vicki had impacted her life. And the first conference hashtag use that I could locate anywhere was on Twitter by Cancer and Careers in 2011 with this conference. So thank you, Cancer and Careers. You started our hashtags for us, it appears, even before we did. In 2012, we moved back east to Boston, where Dr. Karen Kaiser gave her ACS Quality of Life lecture. Using examples from her own experiences, she suggested practitioners and researchers needed to work together to solve practice and policy concerns using a transformative paradigm that included transdisciplinary, translational, and transnational approaches. She went on to give many examples and resources for oncology social workers to approach this paradigm. And here was AOSW's first use of the hashtag as an organization that I could find. Again, I'm not 100% perfect, but I did search all of them. And this one was on Twitter. And they said, want to find out what kind of support people in your community really want? Try patient and caregiver focus groups, hashtag AOSW 2012. So, new random question. Did AOSW ever give away iPads? Again, I have no idea. I love it. But way to go, you. I have no idea, people. You were on that button ready to go. You're going to get engaged. All right, we have a little bit of a mix. 30% say yes. All right. Yes, we did. Remember when you could win an iPad for referring a new member? I believe it was Krista Nelson that dreamed this up, and this was a thing that went on for a couple of years. And it's not surprising because she was obsessed with all things Apple and iPad and iPhones. And so look at that iPad 2. I don't even know what the number is now, but yeah, we gave away a couple. And we have so many fun memories from the Coronado conference in the Lowe's Hotel. I can still remember that beach night at the end of conference in Coronado. Such a fun and wonderful experience in 2013. And in his quality of life talk, Dr. Jim Zabora encouraged us to think outside the cognitive box. He talked about the power of the collective brain, encouraging us to work together, take risks, and look at outcomes and be proactive. Dr. Zabora noted that mistakes are important and necessary, and if they help us to be effective and force us to learn and change our lives. He emphasized finding solutions by looking ahead and having strategic goals. We zigzagged back east on the East Coast in 2014 with Baltimore, where Rolina Van Zinten gave her ACS Quality of Life lecture about occupational health issues for oncology social workers and self-care. And 2015 was in Seattle, Washington, but the only conference logo that I could find in any of the stuff was in this picture from the silent auction. And I'm actually the one who donates the Kentucky Derby edition bottle of bourbon every year at the silent auction. And this is who won it that year. And I believe it was actually a Kellen employee. May have been a hotel employee, but I thought it was Kellen. So you can see the beautiful skyline in the picture highlighting the conference and Seattle there in the back. And also, do you remember taking part in coloring this mandala? It was so pretty. The ACS Quality of Life lecture was Susan Gerbino that year, and she gave a deeply thoughtful talk about her experiences as palliative care and hospice social worker in the early days of the AIDS crisis in New York City. She urged us to reflect on the palliative care movement and the need to recognize and collaborate with our social work colleagues who work not only in oncology, but in other specializations. And it was time to go south to Florida in 2016, where Carrie Irish gave us the Quality of Life lecture, Finding Safe Harbor Within. And it was all about clinical interventions for those living with advanced cancer. And I remember taking tons of notes and going right home to use what I had learned from her in my support group for women living with stage 4. It was a beautiful talk. And then over to Denver in 2017, where Dr. Yvette Cologne gave us her quality of life lecture. And she gave a talk on pain and suffering and challenged the myths and misconceptions that continue to this day around pain. And if you know Yvette at all, you know she's an amazing speaker and an amazing resource when it comes to all things pain. Then in 2018, my presidential year, where we stayed in the Atlanta Marriott Marquis Hotel. So I don't have a problem at all with going back to Atlanta. I think this is exciting. Remember that tall atrium, the 47 stories high in the hotel we were in? It was actually the filming location for a couple of the Hunger Games films. It was the Capitol's Tribute Center, for those of you that maybe watched the film. I thought that was pretty cool little piece of history. And you already know about Joe Biden, the Biden Cancer Initiative, and Lisa Sims Booth. But this video and all the other ACS quality of life lectures that were recorded are available on the AOSW website under the About tab. Then go to Awards and Scholarships, and you can see all the ones that I'm talking about here if they were recorded. Not every single one was. In 2019, we went to Tucson, where Dr. Carolyn Mesner brought us together to identify our own compassion and encouraged us to continue to foster a sense of compassion for ourselves, our personal and our professional selves. And then COVID happened, and the in-person conference for Raleigh, North Carolina had to be canceled. We all know the hell that our patients and our families and we went through with COVID. Having just left the board in 2019, I did feel a particular sense of sadness on behalf of the 2020 board and the 2020 conference planning committees. But the planning committee, the staff, the board, all accomplished the amazing task of going virtual. And the show went on in 2020 with Christina Bach offering her ACS Quality of Life Lecture Award on coexisting with cancer and COVID, ramifications for ethical, clinical, and anti-racist oncology social work practice. And we were so hopeful to come back together in 2021 in Raleigh. Not. COVID ramped back up again, forcing us to go virtual again, which we did beautifully. I think I like to thank the teams again, the conference planning team, the board, and the Kellen staff, who were by now pros at online content. We still did it. And in 2021, Dr. Penny Damascos presented her ACS Quality of Life lecture, The Eye of the Storm, Oncology Social Work during a time of extreme fragmentation and social challenges. You can see lots of poignant talks here. We finally got to go to Raleigh on the third try in 2022 with Dr. Elizabeth Franklin when she gave her ACS Quality of Life lecture on the North Star of Oncology Social Work Advocacy. Dr. Franklin reminded us that as social workers, we have an ethical obligation to advocate with and on behalf of our patients and our profession. And she armed us with information about the history of oncology social work advocacy, as well as the tools to become stronger advocates. And last year in New Orleans was a wonderful experience with Dr. Barbara Jones, sharing her stories of leading from the heart and oncology social work, taking our stance with compassion and strength. It's hard to believe this was just a year ago. Another response or another educational resource can be found in our publications, including all of these AOSW newsletters. But I'm just going to focus on a few. The Journal of Psychosocial Oncology, or the JPO, has been the association's journal since 1984. And in the past 15 years, the connection between JPO and AOSW has strengthened with presentations and workshop collaborations at the annual conference and mentoring for aspiring authors and journal reviewers. Dr. Grace Christ was the founding editor-in-chief, followed by Jim Zabora, who led for many years. Then Dr. Karen Kaiser from 2015 to 22. And Dr. Penny Damascos, who took over in 2022. Each of these editors made great contributions to the journal and elevating its impact factor. And also signs of a robust evidence base for a profession are the proliferation of handbooks and textbooks that consolidate and impart information about the specialty. Over the past 15 years, leaders in the field of oncology social work and palliative care have edited several handbooks and textbooks, which have made significant contributions to these subspecialties. And if you're an author or an editor on any of these texts, throw that in the chat and give yourself a shout out because you certainly deserve it. The creation of these textbooks has spearheaded by AOSW leaders and have included contributions by many members. Each of these references constitutes a major contribution to the education of both clinicians, researchers in oncology and palliative care social work, and many of these editors and authors attend this conference every year. In addition to the guidance provided through textbooks and handbooks, there have been several training programs that have contributed significantly to the development of OSWs and leadership skills. And I'm going to start with the University of Louisville. And as I go through these, again, if you've participated in any of these educational opportunities as faculty or a learner, share that too in the chat. The University of Louisville Kent School of Social Work and Family Science established the nation's first endowed oncology social work professor and chair program in 2007 under Dean Terry Singer, with the goal to develop the specialization in oncology social work within the MSSW program. AOSW heard about it and chose to host the AOSW conference in Louisville in 2008 to celebrate this effort and strengthen the ties between the two organizations. Dean Singer reached out to me to serve on the fundraising committee and the search committee for that endowed professorship. And this is actually what inspired me to start my own doctoral studies. And to strengthen this connection, I went ahead and joined the AOSW conference planning committee. In 2011, the first student cohort in the program began under Dr. Karen Kaiser, the first Renato LaRocca Chair of Oncology Social Work. And I have been teaching the psycho-oncology clinical course since the beginning. And we've also brought in a lot of other national leaders for the online sections for many years. And all of our students have participated in ICOPE, which you've heard me talk about before. It's interprofessional education for multiple different learners all around psychosocial oncology and palliative care. So after Dr. Kaiser's retirement, past president from AOSW, Dr. Carlin Brinson-Hofstock, was appointed as the second professor and endowed chair in 2021. And to date, over 92 MSSW graduates and 8 PhD students have participated in the specialized training. Another successful and respected program for specialized training is at the University of Washington School of Social Work. While the Center for Integrative and Oncology and Palliative Care Social Work and the endowed professorship itself were established in 2018, UW is actually in its 20th year of offering specialized oncology and palliative care training to graduate social work students under Dr. Taryn Lindhorst, with many forms of generous support from our very own Dr. Lynn Bihar. Comprehensive in nature, from pre to post licensure, the Zelda Foster Studies program in palliative and end-of-life care has been an exceptional educational opportunity for AOSW members for many years. It's led by Dr. Susan Garbino and boasts faculty mentors from all over with expertise to support the development of advanced clinical and leadership skills in palliative care. This is how I was connected with and got to know Jennifer Dunn, AOSW's past director of membership, when the Zelda Leadership Program connected me to her as a faculty mentor. It was an awesome experience for both of us. And several other university-based postmaster's certificate programs were designed to contribute to the knowledge base and skill development in either palliative or oncology. And some of them are listed here, and there are more listed again in the paper. But I do want to give a shout out to cancer care, because I'm sure there are some people here who still remember those little colored pamphlets that would come to our cancer centers where we could join teleconferences using a telephone to get CEUs. And I just thought that was really cool. I think Carolyn's been involved with that from the very beginning, and it's been just a really useful thing through the years. In addition, there's been AOSW has partnered on many grant-funded training opportunities, like Shirley Otis Green's NCI-funded R25 called Excel, offered over 5 years as a pre-conference intensive workshop at the annual conferences. Excel was created to expand the knowledge base, expertise, leadership skills of 400 competitively selected oncology social workers in 6 areas of focus identified in the IOM report. Cancer care of the whole patient, another IOM, NASM, very important. And here's a pic from 2013 in San Diego from one of those newsletters. The MJAHS Institute for Innovation in Palliative Care and Dr. Myra Gleishan have been great partners with AOSW for this exciting opportunity as well. The overall aim of SPEC-O is in this multimodal educational program is to offer an oncology-tailored, evidence-based curriculum, including leadership skills, training, and support to the integration of primary palliative care skills for competitively selected oncology social workers. AOSW hosted a pre-conference workshop this week to pilot this training to enhance and strengthen oncology social worker roles for more effective interprofessional practice and to enhance the delivery of care. And there are lots of partners listed here as well. And we have just submitted an NCI R25 grant and are hopeful that it will be funded in 2025, and we will be able to continue to offer this for lots and lots of social workers. Oncology social work research has contributed to the vibrancy and legitimacy of the field from its very earliest days. And as I go through these efforts, again, feel free to shout out in the chat if you took part in any of them. I ran a PubMed search, which is a research publication database, to gain a sense of the growth of oncology specific research or oncology social work specific research using the terms, in quotes, oncology social work, to look at what it yielded. And you can see a timeline here from 1977 through 2024, highlighting 132 publications indexed on PubMed with that term anywhere in the article. The first one was in 1977, titled Role of the Medical Oncology Social Worker by someone named S.W. Johnson in the Journal of Arizona Medicine. Note the green selected bars here. Since 2010, the focus of this talk and manuscript, social work research has accelerated tremendously, with 102 of the 132 that have been published in the last 15 years. A lot of that, I believe, is a direct result of AOSW's efforts in supporting and engaging members in research, dating to 1996 and the formation of the Social Workers in Oncology Research Group, SWORG, and the publication of a guide to research for AOSW members. Other partnerships and collaborations have been critical to AOSW and the research capacity over the past 15 years, but I think a lot of it started with this. Remember those ACS OSW training grants? Once again, ACS played a significant role in promoting and developing oncology social work research through its health professional training grants in cancer control. This program began in 1989 under the leadership of Dr. Barbara Bergman and provided doctoral grants to students in oncology social work. Over 30 oncology social work doctoral students who received support through this program. Unfortunately, it had to be disbanded during COVID, but its impact in its investment is exponential.
Soup?
Just the beef, the big hunk of meat you
The
got.
beef is in.
Oh,
Please mute yourselves.
Mary Strauss, can you mute yourself? Thank you. I was one of those grantees with over 80,000 in funding for my doctoral training and countless additional investments in training, research, and networking. Including two purple ACS lab coats, which were very popular gifts that ACS gives to all of their grantees. An important product of the endowed chair position at the University of Louisville was the convening of a group of doctorally trained senior scientists, most of whom possess clinical experience prior to their PhD level training. As part of her professorship and with funding through the Kent School of Social Work, Dr. Kaiser hosted annual social work research meetings between 2011 and 2015 with the purpose of establishing and acting upon a set of priorities for social work research. This was the first year, and past research director Chiara Aquati and I benefited as we were both doctoral students at the time. Here we are pictured in all the following years, always in Louisville. Important initiatives that have advanced oncology social work research were produced due to these meetings, including a special issue on distress screening in the JPO, a survey of AOSW member experiences with implementation of distress, and projects to increase research capacity among membership. Part of Dr. Zebrack's research priorities as AOSW's research director included collaboration with the National Institutes of Health to distinguish oncology social work research and enhance research funding opportunities for us. We're pictured here as we were about to enter the offices of the NIH in 2012, where we spent the day introducing the various institute directors to all things oncology social work. Right out of those Louisville meetings and on the heels of the Commission of Cancer Standards in 2012 was this special issue from on distress screening from the JPO. It highlighted staffing ratios and screening protocols, and it was just a wonderful resource when this new standard was about to take place. We also had APAC, AOSW's Project to Assure Quality Cancer Care, which focused on methods and timing for efficient administrations of distress screening and integration of psychosocial care. I'm going to fly through these slides, but again, all the articles are linked at the end. The team reviewed over 9,500 electronic health records across 55 AOSW member cancer centers. And you can see the breakdown by cancer center types there. And we did look at differences within that, but I'm not going to highlight those here. Overall, they reported a 67% adherence rate. And interestingly, an important finding that came out of that was that they reported that institutional adherence to standardized distress screening protocols was associated with lower likelihood of emergency department visits and hospitalizations among patients in these institutions. So it does make a difference. More details about this project are reported in this pub in the journal Cancer, as well as this one from the Journal of the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, and this one from the JPO, as well as this one. Oncology social work itself has been the focus of research, with the specific goal of delineating and distinguishing the specific and unique roles of social workers in cancer care. Many of you have already know about our core study as well, where we aim to distinguish OSW competencies, opportunities, roles, and expertise. And again, a reminder, shout yourself out if you participated. This is the list of co-authors and co-investigators on the study. And these are the funders who we always want to thank: Michigan, University of Michigan, and our friends of the Association of Oncology Social Work. You know who you are. This study is a cross-sectional cohort investigation of data derived from a nationwide survey of oncology social workers. Through an online survey, respondents indicated the relevance of 91 tasks related to their oncology social work practice. And over half of our membership participated, with an overall N of 1,055. The study built upon the AOSW Scope and Standards of Practice document, which originated in 1992. The SSP describes OSW in terms of providing service in 4 domains, and our data analysis revealed 9 domains and 49 items related to OSW practice. I'm not going to go through them all, but I'm just highlighting them here: therapeutic intervention, assessment and support, care coordination and access, patient community and professional education, equity and justice, distress screening, family-centered care, facilitate treatment decision-making, and care for vulnerable populations. These findings can inform job descriptions and AOSW's scope of practice, which is planned actually for 2025, I understand. They fit and affirm the quintuple aim of healthcare, and they were already used by the Board of Oncology Social Work Certification to update their certification requirements in 2023 for the OSW-C. And here are just a few more publications that have come out of that core data and your core study. There are so many other research efforts and opportunities led by our many wonderful past research directors, including Julie Octay, Kiara Akwati, Sophia Smith, Allison Werner-Lynn, and Brad Zebrak, that it's impossible to go through them all. But a bit more detail can be found about all of them in any of AOSW's publications, as well as AOSW's research website. And here's just one, this white paper that you can find on the research section of AOSW's website. Over the past decade and a half, AOSW has celebrated many accomplishments in both professional and legislative advocacy on behalf of oncology social workers and cancer patients. Once again, claim your ownership of any of these past advocacy efforts as we go through it in the chat section. Frequently, these efforts have overlapped and impacted each other. Amazing things have happened under the leadership of our advocacy directors of the past 15 years: Katie Tremmel, Nina Miller, Sarah Conning, Christina Austin-Villaire, and Catherine Campbell. Patient navigation. Remember when we first started hearing about this term outside of our Social Work 101 classes? We were all like, navigation, that's what we do. That's us. Thankfully, AOSW leaders claimed this space early on by helping define it and joining all the conversations around it. I found some early efforts in the AOSW news. Here's a 2009 article with leadership from AOSW's Pam Murph. We came together with ONS to write a joint position statement on the role of oncology nursing and oncology social work in patient navigation. And it's a good article. AOSW actively participates in the American Cancer Society's National Navigation Roundtable, advocating for the inclusion of oncology social workers in determining the requisite skills and responsibilities for patient navigators. In 2022, AOSW was instrumental in defining the role of oncology social workers as part of NNRT's Oncology Standards of Professional Practice. And notice that the lead author on that is Dr. Elizabeth Franklin. Again, it's linked in the end. Additionally, in 2023, AOSW advocated for Medicare reimbursement of patient navigation services. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid determination to add reimbursement for these services to its 2024 Medicare physician fee schedule will promote the ongoing expansion of patient navigation programs and patient navigator positions across healthcare settings. Increasing the availability of patient navigation is anticipated to improve access to healthcare, especially among traditionally underserved populations where barriers to healthcare access are significant. AOSW is proud to join more than 20 patient and caregiver organizations telling Congress and the Biden administration that we need paid leave to help families balance and care work. 2017 was destined to be a very busy year for advocacy. We started in January by issuing a statement of health policy principles. Based on these principles, AOSW issued public statements of opposition to several attempts in Congress to repeal the Affordable Care Act. We were not alone in these efforts. Soon, cancer advocacy organizations started working together to fight against the efforts to repeal the ACA. The National Coalition for Cancer Survivorship spearheaded several successful social media campaigns to demonstrate a powerful unified voice and to preserve patient protections established in the ACA like this one. The advocacy committee under Sarah Conning and with the help of Elizabeth Franklin had very little rest that year. Once NCCS had formed, we were able to quickly respond in unison to threats to quality cancer care. Remember when we put this full page ad in the New York Times? In 2022, AOSW joined ACS CAN in supporting the continuation of the Prescription Drug User Fee Act, which was signed into law in 1992 in response to the prolonged review times for new drug applications at the FDA. This act authorized the FDA to collect user fees from drug sponsors to sponsor the additional personnel needed to do those drug reviews. As a major source of funding for drug reviews, this program is critical to ensuring that cancer patients have timely access to the newest therapies. And as one of more than 36 member organizations from the Patient Quality of Life Coalition, AOSW has been supporting the advancement of the PCHETA Act, aimed at increasing the number of permanent faculty in palliative care at accredited medical schools, nursing schools, and other programs, including social work, physician assistant, and chaplaincy education programs, to promote education and research in palliative care and hospice, and to support the development of faculty and careers in academic careers in hospice and palliative care. Achieving passage of the Social Work Interstate Compact was an advocacy priority for AOSW as well. To advance this priority, the Advocacy Committee presented on this compact at the 2023 conference, educating and encouraging members to engage in advocacy efforts to advance the compact legislation in their home states. Currently, 12 states have adopted this legislation, which permits those states with any other additional who subsequently pass the compact to create a compact commission, which will allow the states to start to practice across state lines. And we're behind our interprofessional colleagues on this. We really need to get on it. Do you remember in Denver when the advocacy sponsored the This Oncology Social Worker Stands For project? Do you remember what you filled out on yours? And if you do, fill it into the chat again. Love to know what it was. Here was part of that advocacy team efforts: Lena Neru, Maureen Rigney, and Sarah Conning holding up some of their own. So we continue to support all of these previous efforts, plus the ones listed here, including extending telehealth flexibilities to increase access to care, licensure reciprocity, student loan forgiveness, Medicare reimbursement, lots of things still happening. So now with future directions, here's a few just to fly through quickly that we can think about, that we should be thinking about in the future. Use that core data to update the scope and standards of practice in whatever other ways it can be helpful. And reflect on as an organization and as individuals on how we can integrate all of these values that I've talked about today into our own practice and our own organization. Make them integrated, claim all of them. Peer support and training for MSWs who are considering doctoral level education, mentoring and funding for master's level OSWs to conduct clinical research, opportunities for networking and interaction with other researchers, both within the field and in related fields, such as AOSW Research Institute. Seek the reinitiation of activities that promote and advocate social work research and help all the trainees, like the ACS grants that we had in doctoral training, taking advantage of all the mechanisms that we can to support the training. And continue to diversify educational efforts while maximizing in-person opportunities, perhaps making them hybrid, both in-person and recorded, so attendees could do both. Imagine if we could come to conference, attend all of our first choice sessions, and then go home and have a period of time where we could watch what we missed. We'd earn a lot more CEUs that way, and then we wouldn't have to, and those who couldn't attend in person could still do it. So that hybrid approach is what I would love to see. We need to try to stay on top of advances in AI and its potential use in training ourselves and in our patients. And I'd love to see, my own personal one is to load all those older AOSW newsletters that I mined through this talk on the AOSW website somewhere. Even if you don't make them like searchable like a database, just put them on there for people to explore, because it was really fun finding some of that stuff. So what future directions do you want AOSW to consider in terms of advocacy, education, research, or networking? What would you like to see? Hybrid conferences, fun, student loan forgiveness. This is going to be great to have. More research support, yes. Social worker support opportunities, compact licensure, yeah. Therapy modalities. A hybrid conference, that's popular. Monthly trainings. Yeah, these are great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. This is such good stuff to see. Especo. I promise you, I'll be sharing these answers with the board so that they will hear your voice in what you'd like to see our future directions to be. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to advance to the next slide. A few people still participating. Try to give you that chance. All right, here we go. So now, reflect back on the beginning of the talk where I asked you which of those values you wanted to further develop the most. Please share your own professional goal in one or more of these areas. What's a professional goal that you have for yourself that you're willing to share? And as you consider these goals, ask yourself where they align with AOSW goals. There's opportunity there. Remember that every single one of us were once new oncology social workers attending our first AOSW conferences, watching leaders invite us to leadership. We were all there once. And this is my invitation to you to think about your own professional goals and look for ways to go beyond just for yourself, but to join with AOSW. I promise it'll result in amazing things. Lots of people still typing. This is cool. I see lots of doctorate and social work stuff, so that's great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, all these goals, all these things that I'm saying are things that AOSW can help you with. People within AOSW can help you. All right, I am going to advance the slide because I know we're getting close on time. I didn't catch the exact time we started, Linda, but I am paying attention. All right, so AOSW future directions are your future directions. They're our future directions, yours and mine. Wherever those goals you articulated align, It's an opportunity for you to step outside of your comfort zone and into growth for yourself, improved care for your patients, and improved clinical and leadership skills. Every one of AOSW's, your values has an associated leadership position and committee opportunity for you to align yourself with. Go find that person and start to improve the care you provide, develop deep and lifelong friendships, have fun, and become a part of AOSW's next history paper. And as promised, I've got the references slides on here for you, and I will be loading those for you so that you can have access to all the things I used to get to this. Now, as far as the conference scholarship goes, I'm going to download and review all of those who participated, and I'll announce the winner as soon as I can. I promise I'm going to try to get it done before the conference is over. It just depends on how much data I have to go through. So that is what you can expect, but you will hear from, I will be doing it through AOSW and the leadership to announce that winner. Also, as promised, here is my contact information. It's my first name dot my last name. And you can reach out to me to share anything that you would like to get the group of authors on this paper to think about. We're happy to consider it so that we've really tried to attend to the history everywhere. And that is it. And I thank you very much.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing, Tara. Congratulations. I was like, one of the participants said, I would never have known all of this information without this presentation. You did a fabulous job in putting all this history together. So much information. You were a true researcher.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's wonderful. I look forward to seeing all the comments. I couldn't see a single thing during the session.
You're
So
getting made praise. Fabulous, engaging. I'm curious from you, Tara, where do you want to see AOSW go in the next, say, 5 years?
You know, basically the things that I listed in the paper, I agree that my co-authors contributed. Like even the words that I were sharing, it was my co-authors who helped write that stuff. And some of them are here, by the way. So Michael, Brad, I'm not sure if Sophia's here. But anyone that is here that would like to unmute and share in that, where, you know, Brad, I know you have thoughts as well if you're still here. I know he had some competing meetings, so he may not be able to, but or then again, you know, still want to hear from membership. But I'd love to see, my main goal is integration, really having AOSW. I bugged the membership or the board back when we created that last strategic plan to have collaboration and integration in there as a strategic priority, because it really is. I see that magic happen in practice. We all do, right? When people are practicing transdisciplinarily, magic happens. And I feel the same way about board practice and board behavior, and, you know, for ourselves and the board and leadership. So, and I see signs of that. I see Brad now, I see your face. If there's anything you would like to contribute as well, just unmute and jump in. But that's my goal for AOSW.
Tara, oh, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, pardon me, Chelsea. Tara, I love
I was just gonna say, oh, did you tell me to go ahead or be quiet?
No,
Okay.
go ahead, Chelsea. Go ahead. You go ahead, Chelsea.
I was just gonna tell everybody, why don't we take ourselves off of mute and give Tara a great round of applause? It was awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael, go ahead. You were gonna ask a question.
I love the challenge that you gave everyone at the end. Be a part of the next paper. And I think that's really important in shared goals. And it's important as a membership organization. Our members are what make us great and help us to advance and grow as an organization. So the who me idea of who me, could I do this? We all thought that at one point. We're all contributing. We're all making the organization greater, the profession greater. So please be a part of that next paper, and you can start by doing that today.
Yeah, absolutely. I got goosebumps if you sang it. I see Susan there, my president. You were what inspired me at my first conference.
Right back at you, Tara.
Any other comments or questions? I know we've gone over, so I want to respect people's time, but again,
Well, thank you.
go ahead.
We do have so many first timers this conference. You
Yeah.
kind of included this already, but what advice, thinking back to as you were joining AOSW, would you have for the first time attendees?
Great question.
You know, beyond what I kind of said in the talk, you know, think about your goals, what you have for yourself, your own professional development goals. You see all these opportunities here. Try to figure out where they align, because where they align is the greatest opportunity for you. You don't have to like for example, if you're not comfortable with research, jump right into research. Maybe you align better with advocacy. So reach out to the advocacy committee and see what opportunities are there. And with my hope for the organization and more integration of all of those, that your opportunity to grow in research will also come, if that's also a later goal. But just start with saying yes to things. I mean, again, especially if you're the sole social worker, that's what I was in my own setting. So when I first went to my first AOSW conference, I was completely blown away. And literally just, I still picture the Titanic movie with Leonardo standing at the front. Like, I came back going, I am king of the freaking world because I am a member of this organization. And I remembered the things I learned at conference, and I took it back to my own organization. I started talking about it. All of a sudden I was sitting at higher level tables because I was given a set of tools to do that with through my association with AOSW. But just saying yes to small things, again, state rep or volunteer opportunities, conference planning committees, some of the best and most fun is had from those conference planning committees. And the best, again, some of my lifelong friendships with the people here started in those early days with things like that. So
Yeah, special interest groups.
Oh, I wanted to say something too.
Yeah.
I came to 24 conferences in a row, and I was really proud of it. And then I broke a hip, so I had to miss for a while. But it's amazing what you learn, and it's so useful working with patients and families, helping them learn to navigate medical systems, helping family and friends when they get ill. And it's a gift that keeps giving in terms of when your family and friends call on you because you have this expertise. You're continually making life better for people professionally and personally from this community and developing the skills. So I've been grateful many times over. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I do want to say once again, thank you so much for this incredible talk. And I don't think I have to explain why you are the Quality of Life Award recipient. So thank you for this talk, and everyone enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Yes, thank you. It was a labor of love, a true honor. Thank you all.